5 persons have died in Likumba in the Tiko subdivision of the Faku in the southwest region of Cameroon from food poisoning. The grandmother of the house is being accused of having unknowingly poisoned the family members who died after consuming the food she prepared. And what can Cameroon benefit from Canada, a faraway nation but a friendly nation and a brotherly nation to Cameroon in terms of bilingualism and extended decentralization was the key topic between the Canadian ambassador to Cameroon and officials of the National School of Local Administration in Buea in the southwest region of Cameroon. Meantime, observers in the Chadian election see all went well. Babila Jonathan, a special envoy to N'Djamena Chad, will be giving you the reactions of non-governmental organizations and observation missions that went to Chad to observe election. On a Sunday, the election that gave the Chadian people an opportunity to choose between incumbent President Idriss Déby Itno and other candidates who become Chad's president. Even out of the country, we shall be telling you that things are getting tough and difficult, complicated. To Blaise Compaoré, one-time president of Burkina Faso, he's been accused of having murdered one of the most vibrant presidents of the African continent, Thomas Sankara. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining Equinoxe Television on our primetime newscast. We are live from our central news desk in Douala, Cameroon's economic capital city. Thanks for choosing Equinoxe. It is the best choice. We are 6 p.m. in Douala. It is the same time in Abuja, in the neighboring Federal Republic of Nigeria. We begin with our top story. 5 persons have died in Likumba, a village in Tiko subdivision of the Faku division, southwest region of Cameroon. They died of food poisoning, and the grandmother of the house is being accused, as Smart Njikan Gabriel tells us in the following report.
It was total consternation at the Tiko District Hospital this Monday. The hospital premises was filled to capacity after 3 kids and a woman of about 60 years old died after consuming fufu, corn and vegetables, then drank palm wine.
We received an old mother, her age 60 years old, was rushed unconscious, and from all information gathered, it was realized she ate poisoned food or drink, but we are yet to confirm. So we did our best to do all we could, but she passed away. That's all I can say. And we have 2 children here, this one and that's the other one there. They are still monitoring them. They also ate the same food.
For now, the real cause of the immediate death of these people is still to be determined.
We don't know whether that container
We don't know if the container that the drink was inside caused their death or the food they ate.
Whether investigation they still go on.
At the Tiko District Hospital facility was the mayor of Tiko Council, Chief Mesoso, who came to see for himself what was happening in his locality. Though 4 persons died, some kids who also consumed the food were hospitalized because they were under critical state. They were under observation by the doctors on duty.
Smart Njikan Gabriel reporting there from Tiko in the southwest region of Cameroon. And now we talk a protest, a demonstration. Those are angry. The angry persons are ex-workers of the shipyard engineering company, popularly known in its French acronym as Chantier Naval in Cameroon. They staged a protest demonstration this morning in Yaoundé, Cameroon, in front of the Star Building, that is the office of the Prime Minister of Cameroon. The ex-workers who are illegally or who are legally asked, say the Secretary General at the Prime Minister's office, Seraphine Magwafuda, is delaying their document to be sent to the Ministry of Finance for their payment. One of the striking workers spoke to Equinoxe Television's correspondent in Yaoundé.
We were abusively dismissed from our company and we started revendicating our rights to be paid. And in 2018, the government went into negotiation with us. And after the negotiation, it was agreed that a certain sum of amount of money was to be paid to us. The document went to the presidency. From the presidency, it came to the Minister of Finance. And the Minister of Finance later called us and told us that the letterhead of that payment, prim the bond supervision, was not found in the labor code, that head should be changed. We waited for the change of that head, it never happened. That now pushed us to the presidency last year, October. And now the president gave instructions to the Prime Minister for the matter to be solved immediately. And certain people in the Prime Minister's office have sat on that document. So we have come for the document to be sent to the Minister of Finance for payment. And besides, I want to remind you, veteran journalists of the Equinoxe Television, that we today who are called ex-temporary wards of Shanti Naval, while in Shanti Naval, we did not ask what our nation Cameroon has done for us. We ask what we have done for our nation Cameroon. And our handiworks are visible. We were those that immediately intervened for a temporary bridge construction at the Bungu Bridge. We were still those that built a rig, the first drilling rig in Cameroon, at the UIC base, that boasted and is still boasting the image of Shanti Naval Cameroon in the national and international waters. We were those that updated the rapid intervention Rue de Ray Batch at Bakassi Peninsula. We want our money to be paid. That is what has brought us here.
It is not the first time, it is not the second time, no, the third time that these former workers of Chantier Naval are protesting in Yaoundé asking for unpaid salaries. They say money owed them by the government of Cameroon has not been paid several years after they left the shipyard engineering company, Chantier Naval. It was a humiliated and disappointed senior divisional officer for the Jan Lobo division during his visit to Mayor Mesala subdivision, still in his area of command. During his Meet the People's tour, he went to Mayor Mesala, but unfortunately met nobody, or practically empty chairs were available to welcome the senior divisional officer, who, after being very angry, also expressed frustrations and asked the people to get themselves together and call him back for his maiden tour. Innocent as it takes us to the situation in the South region.
The new divisional officer for the Jaw and Lobo division of the Central region witnesses an unbelievable scene during his tour in a locality in Mayor Mesala subdivision. The SDO, Awono Damien, feels the population and some traditional rulers boycotted his presence as he was welcomed by vacant chairs. You have blocked your people. Some traditional authorities absent. What can justify? Frustrated by what he sees, the SDO speaks to the elders of the traditional leaders to understand what is happening. Mr. SDO, our people here are known for this. You summon them, they don't show up. This response is not a clear justification to the administrative authority. Awono Damien questions the legitimacy of this custodian of tradition. It means you are not well placed. How can a traditional leader speak to his people and they don't listen or answer present? It poses a problem. Not even a single soul, even among the 9 chiefs, not even one of them is present. It means you have just recalcitrant citizens in your village. For what reason did the population boycott arrival of the new senior divisional officer for the Jaw and Lobo division in front of vacant chairs remains incomprehensible to Awono Damien and his delegation, who have no choice than depart as they came, telling the elders of the traditional leaders they shall return when his people are ready to listen to him.
Ok, je reviendrai lorsque vos populations vont vous écouter. Bon, merci beaucoup.
Even with the presence of the coronavirus pandemic, malaria remains a major public health preoccupation, and inhabitants, especially those in areas known to be vulnerable to malaria infection, should consider sleeping under treated mosquito bed nets. This message came from the Southwest Regional Delegate of Public Health during the launch of the first phase of the exercise to distribute treated mosquito bed nets in the Southwest region of Cameroon, as our correspondent Derek Jato tells us in the following report.
Malaria situation in the Southwest region.
Generally speaking, malaria constitutes 1/3 of all consultations in our hospitals annually. Out of every 10 people who die, you are sure one of them will be as a result of malaria. 40% of our population in the communities don't have mosquito nets.
And pregnant women and children under 5 years are much more vulnerable.
In 2020, 10 women died during pregnancy as a result of complications of malaria. 32% of the children here in the region who are under 5 and they are presenting with fever or other conditions are suffering from malaria. So you see how deep-rooted malaria is in our communities.
But still in this region, many are humiliating the government's effort in the fight against malaria.
We have a common practice here in the Southwest and in some parts of the country where people instead use the nets to fence their vegetable gardens, and also some of them use them as fishing nets and things like that. But as we also said, what will it profit anyone who uses that net to fish and then after use the money or the proceeds from the fish to go and treat a child in hospital who might even die?
And during the first regional committee meeting for the third mass distribution of long-lasting insecticide-treated net for the Southwest region, Dr. Ibongo Zacchaeus Nanje, Southwest Regional Delegate of Public Health, revealed that 1,062,714 long-lasting insecticide-treated nets will be distributed in the region this year. And Dr. Ntwi Bison, the regional coordinator for the fight against malaria in the Southwest, gave the practical modalities on how the mosquito net will be distributed.
Give you the nets and tell you how to use the nets. So 2 strategies. The first strategy, they will count you and give you the net at the same time. And the second strategy, based on the area, you might be counted and you'll be told where to collect the nets the following day.
Get rid of this person.
The goal is to prevent this Anopheles mosquito from doing it worse, or better still, get rid of it. And it requires everyone's effort in the fight, medics say.
Some opinions hold that Cameroon has gone far beyond the stage of effective decentralization. The government of Cameroon holds on effective decentralization as its major priority as of now, and the Director General of the National School of Local Administration, Nasla Boya, recently told the Canadian ambassador to Cameroon that his institution is ready and willing to learn from the Canadian experience vis-a-vis decentralization. He was speaking recently while meeting with the diplomat during his visit to the Southwest Regional Chieftain Boya. Details with Derek Jato in the following report.
Cameroon and Canada, 2 countries far apart but with so much in common.
Canada, like Cameroon, is a bilingual country. It's a decentralized country, and it's a very culturally diverse country.
But when it comes to effective decentralization, Canada has been there, and a true example far before Cameroon ever dreamt of defining the words.
We have a deep experience in
in decentralization, in empowering subnational levels of government to deliver services to citizens, to develop policies in their areas of competence.
And today that Cameroon is taking a step to bring decentralization to the limelight, both mentally and physically. That is, creating and constructing structures that depict the mission. Canada is not only observing, but also coming closer. And today His Excellency Richard Ballaire, the Canadian High Commissioner to Cameroon, is paying a maiden visit to the National School of Local Administration, NASLA, in Boya.
And with luck, we may be able to provide some support specifically to NASLA in delivering on its mandate.
Welcoming the diplomat, Tani Tiku Eno, NASLA Director General outlined the mission and vision of this newly created National School of Local Administration, and also outlined the training program the school offers to meet up with its goals. And during his address, the Director General of NASLA pointed out where Canada can come in for better advancement.
We think that we can borrow from the Canadian experience. We also think that we could benefit from other areas still in training. In terms of research, we discussed with the High Commissioner about acquiring specific documentation in terms of decentralization and local development, equipping our library.
The Canadian High Commissioner to Cameroon was given a souvenir to keep the memories of NASLA with him, and by so doing, strengthening the bilateral ties between Cameroon and Canada.
Tensions rose a few hours ago between some inhabitants of Bonaberi in the Douala 4 subdivision and soldiers of the firefighting units of the Cameroonian army. The people of the locality accused them of having arrived very late, even though they were alerted earlier enough concerning a fire incident which is said to have ravaged 2 shops in that part of the city of Douala. According to the local population, the fire generated from a nearby shop or a nearby bar that was still locked up before extending to nearby shops. The population had to force open the doors of the bar to quench the flames, but it was too late already. A fire extinguisher that they had at that moment could not help them put out the flames. Firefighters arrived an hour later when the population had already managed to put out the flames with a bucket of water. They were rather angry and asked the elements of the firefighting unit to go away. Take a listen to one of the ladies interviewed by our correspondent in Bonaberi. And of course, we will be having an extract of one of the ladies who was on the scene of the incident and explained what actually happened. The people of Bonaberi got angry with the elements of the firefighting unit, accusing them of having arrived very late. They think the elements or the soldiers would have saved the 2 shops ravaged if they arrived earlier enough. It should be recalled that it is not the first time that we are witnessing such a situation in the city of Douala. The most recent was at the Brazzaville neighborhood of the Douala Free Municipality. And now have indications that the extract of the lady is ready.
This is our shop. As you see, I'm the manager of this place. My boss was not around when the incident happened. I was just inside working with a client. All of a sudden, something was stinking. So the client decided to go out and check. We realized that something was burning somewhere there, and we said, okay, maybe it's a bad aroma from what is burning outside. Little did we know that there was smoke coming out from my neighbor's meter. And my neighbor, she's doing selling drinks. She's having a bar. And once we were inside working, all of a sudden people were passing outside and shouting, fire, fire, smoke, smoke. And when we came outside to check, everywhere was already black. But I'm so grateful to God for the neighbors I have around me. They really supported me morally. Everybody was working, and even now they are still working. They really showed me their support and their love. Unfortunately, for what we have here, what they call Sape Pompe, at the time when the thing was happening, we called them urgently
They wasted about an hour for them to reach here, and when they finally reached here, I was not even the person talking again. All my neighbors were here helping, send them away, that they are too notorious. Everywhere they are, everywhere where there is fire, they don't come in time. They always come when everything is already cleared.
You have certainly heard of climate change, but probably, like many Cameroonians and most Africans, he is not taking it very serious. But it is real and affecting several areas, especially within the Sahara. We'll call it the Sub-Saharan African. One of the nations badly affected by climate change is Chad, within its borders with the Republic of Cameroon. Babila Jonathan takes us to the effects of climate change on River Shari. River Shari that lies between the border between Cameroon and Chad. The River Shari is almost completely dried off as a result of climate change.
This is the transnational highway linking the republics of Cameroon and Chad, and below this bridge is a section of River Shari, and as you can see there, the water body has significantly reduced. Large portions that were occupied by water before are now occupied by farmers and cattle rearers. We're going to go down there to meet some of the farmers and some of the cattle rearers who are around. This crop is known here as murkie. It is okra, and this is what most of the farmers working here are cultivating. And because of the dry, extremely dry nature of the ground here, they are now using motor pumps to pump water from sections of the river still occupied by water. They are pumping water from there with the help of motor pumps to be able to water all these crops here. And some of them are doing subsistence farming, that is producing for home consumption, and others are also selling some of the crops that they are producing here.
The kachir, we didn't mind them roja. Mr. Anna, the guy Magudakulu, in the Rajil or Rajil Gudurano Mafi. Yal Ashara or Talada, Kagadol, Shirin. The one again says Sardenda, can Allah and Danida, I'll get a kid with a nasty name, but I'm a son again, so I'm a Shakane. Shakane. Say the
Before now, the whole of this place was occupied by water, but today it has become a feeding ground for these animals that you're seeing behind me. Cattle rearers are now using this place to feed the animals, and we are going to talk to one of the herdsmen who are with us here, and he's going to tell us how they are using this place. This is the picture of extreme weather conditions here in Chad's capital, N'Djamena. Climate change, the impact of climate change is being felt here on the River Shari. This whole place was covered by water, but today the whole place is completely dry. Extremely dry. Water has moved away. Water has dried off on a greater portion of the Shari River. And when we look at this way, we can see lakes, minor lakes that have developed here as a result of the extreme weather conditions that have caused the River Shari to completely or to seriously, significantly shrink, and the whole place has become more or less a dry land with some sheep and cattle feeding here and there. In the meantime, an island settlement seems to be prospering here. Right behind me, some people are living here right in the middle of the Shari River. Before the river reduced to what it is today, there was water on both sides. Right now, there is no water on their left, no water on their right, and they are still living there. Their homes or the houses are surrounded by trees planted by the inhabitants of this area. This is what is left of River Shari, a major water body, and the extreme weather conditions here are making things quite difficult for a number of persons who were benefiting in one way or the other from this water body. Fishing activities here have become very, very difficult. The fishermen who are here are unable to get the daily booty that they were getting before the Shari River reduced to this small level. And of course, we are here with one of the fishermen. Tu es en train de pêcher depuis quand? Depuis combien de heures?
Des heures pour aujourd'hui. Aujourd'hui, c'est depuis le matin.
Tu es en train de pêcher depuis le matin?
Ouais.
Tu as déjà pris combien de poissons?
J'ai trouvé seulement 2 soulures.
Tu as trouvé seulement 2 poissons?
2 soulures.
Qu'est-ce qui se passe? Pourquoi les poissons sont devenus là?
Vraiment, c'est un peu rare. Maintenant, tu vois, avec le vent et quoi là, c'est un peu difficile. Nous sommes souffrants, il n'y a même pas les poissons dans l'eau.
Et le Shari a beaucoup diminué en termes de surface. Ça a beaucoup séché.
Séché, ça demande à ce qu'on enlève le sable, sinon le Shari. Maintenant, il n'y a rien comme les poissons. Les poissons se cachent un peu, peut-être dans l'endroit un peu mieux, sinon ici là. Nous sommes là depuis le matin pour trouver 1000 francs, c'est le problème.
Vous trouvez 1000 francs?
1000 francs pour la famille, c'est le problème.
Things are very, very difficult here for the fishermen, and according to what he just told me now, they are unable to make a significant catch on daily basis, and it's becoming very difficult for them to put food on their table because of the fact that the Shari River has significantly reduced in size, and of course the fishing activity is severely and adversely impacted. The River Shari has seriously lost its potentials in terms of fishing, and these are the adverse consequences of climate change. Reporting from River Shari in Jamina, Chad, we are Meteronda and Babli Jonathan.
Babila Jonathan there. And observers of different international organizations have pointed out a series of irregularities that characterized Chad's Sunday's presidential election. They, however, pointed out that the election took place in an atmosphere which was calm, serene, and transparent. Our special envoy to the Chad's election is Babila Jonathan and George Meterandam.
Cette élection présidentielle est également caractérisée par des tensions politiques.
The African Union Election Observer Mission highlights internal political tensions that characterized Sunday's presidential election in Chad. 3 major opposition parties that called for a boycott of the election condemned excessive use of military force against opposition parties and the militarization of the capital N'Djamena and other parts of the country before and on election day. But the observers of the African Union, the Economic Community of Central African States and the Islamic Cooperation Organization say
la présence d'un dispositif de sécurité,
the deployment of soldiers was discreet, professional, and helped to secure the polling stations.
Certains électeurs ont voté dans leur caserne.
In its preliminary statement, the Economic Community of Central African States, ECAS, pointed out the fact that some of the soldiers voted in their barracks, where observers were not granted access.
La plupart des bureaux de vote visités ont ouvert en retard.
They observed that many of the polling stations opened 30 minutes to 2 hours late because of the late arrival of officials of the National Independent Electoral Commission and voting materials.
Le personnel électoral n'était pas au complet dans la
Some of the agents were absent in majority of the polling stations at the beginning of the voting exercise.
Dans quelques bureaux de vote, plusieurs matériels étaient manquants.
In some of the polling stations, electoral materials were insufficient. The African Union, Economic Community of Central African States, and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation observed the absence of representatives of opposition political parties in many polling stations.
Un seul candidat avait ses représentants presque dans tous les bureaux de vote observés.
The observers also noted the weak representation of women and national organizations in the electoral process. They also recorded many other irregularities cutting across several domains.
Les mesures prises dans la lutte contre la COVID-19 n'étaient pas visibles dans la plupart des bureaux de vote observés. La disposition des isoloirs n'était pas toujours adéquate.
Les Tchadiens résidant à l'extérieur ont été exclus de l'élection en raison de la non-révision du fichier électoral et la non-installation des démembrements de la CENI à l'extérieur.
However, the Organization for Islamic Cooperation says
l'application des normes
international election norms were respected despite the average participation rate according to ECAS observers. Thus, the observers, including those of the Pan-African Parliament and Chad Civil Society, conclude that
l'élection du 11 avril 2021 s'est déroulée dans le calme et dans la sérénité.
Le scrutin s'est globalement déroulé dans la transparence malgré quelques dysfonctionnements dans l'organisation.
Meantime, the different organizations recommend that political parties should ensure that the compilation and proclamation of results should take place in peace and the results respected, that dialogue between the political class and the civil society and the organizational capacity of the National Independent Electoral Commission be improved.
Equinoxe Television at the center of the presidential election in the neighboring Republic of Chad. They are in Chad after a similar experience in Guinea, in Cote d'Ivoire, in Congo, in the Central African Republic, and several African countries. We shall be coming back to such stories. Remember that we have a team of reporters in Benin, in West Africa, for the same exercise. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up is Talking Point. Stay with us. On a new dimension, we are receiving Dr. Dennis Kiawi. We are receiving an ICT personality, an expert, and of course the person to talk about the benefits of that and how it can help Cameroon move out of the current troubled waters. Thanks for accepting our invitation, Doctor.
Thank you so much, Alphonse. How are you today, sir?
I'm fine. We are privileged to have you.
Pleasure is mine.
And you are an expert in that domain, which some people look at the information and communication sector, the internet, and they are talking about different, or the fourth industrial revolution. Mm-hmm. Now, in Cameroon, at the time when Cameroon is facing security challenges, health challenges that has had a devastating effect on the economy, mm-hmm. How can that sector particularly help things?
Well, that's a very beautiful question. That's really why I'm here today, because it's been proven that no economy can actually progress without digitalization. Mm. And we are living in the digital age where everything is being digitalized, and it's time for us to embrace this, to understand that the only way our country will be able to move forward is if we, the individuals, we, the economy, that the citizens of the nation actually embrace digitalization. Looking at Cameroon and all the challenges that we are facing right now, I just think that this is the right moment for us to understand that this is the new era, this is the 21st century, and we cannot move forward without having them. When I go around the country and look at all the processes that actually happen in the country, I see a lot of improvement that we can actually put in place. And I think that information technology can play a major role to actually bring Cameroon to that evolving nation that we are actually preaching of. I see a lot of processes that could be optimized, and I'll be telling you more in the course of this.
Now, probably without giving the exact statistics, may I know at what level Cameroon could be vis-a-vis the penetration of the ICTs, the internet, and the information, all that?
Yes, I think Cameroon actually plays a very major role, especially in the African context, because we speak two languages. We speak French and we speak English, and we have other national languages that we speak. Now, when you look at the international space, especially when it comes to information technology, you see that the language spoken is mostly English coupled with French. And this is something that we already have it here as a national language. So I already think that if we actually change our mindset and embrace IT, we will be able to create a lot of opportunity for young Cameroonians that are really out there, not even knowing that all this opportunity exists. We can really do that. And I can cite a couple of examples for processes that we can really optimize that can really create a lot of opportunity for young Cameroonians. Now, the concept that most of us do here is that when we go to school, we have the option or the notion that we just want to get the certificates and let someone hire us. Most of us don't even think of the fact that we can literally study to become someone and be able to use that knowledge to generate income. And this is the best field for you to actually do that, because you have an unlimited earning potential that gives you the flexibility, gives you the needed income to be able to generate more income and hire more Cameroonians to join the workforce. So I really think that we are in the right place. If you look at other countries, like in India, when you go to the Western world, I've lived in so many countries around the world. I studied in Germany, went to France, ended my PhD in Netherlands, and now I work in the US. But when you look at all these countries around the world, you see that they rely so much on IT, information technology. And who are the countries that are really providing it? Most of the Asian countries are doing that. But these are countries that don't even have English, which is most of the time the language that is spoken in this IT, information technology age. They don't even have English as the national language, but they do very well. Is it that we cannot do it? No. The answer is we can do it. But do we believe that we can do it? I am here to tell you that yes, we can do it, because I have been doing it. We've trained so many other people that are actually doing it, and we've empowered a lot of young Africans that didn't even believe that they can do it. So our goal is to really change that mindset, to understand that we live in this century with a lot of opportunity around us. All we need to do is change our mindset and see all the opportunity that are around us, surrounding us.
Good to hear from you that English for Cameroon, it's a wonderful asset. It's an asset that will be used or can help the country grow in this sector. But now, what's the problem? Situate it and tell us how we can go about it.
Now, so what I really think that we Cameroonians can do in order to help us move forward in this is that, first of all, when you go everywhere here around the country, you see that everything is in papers, right? And we have a lot of incidents. Right, incidents do happen, and we cannot prevent that from happening. And you hear of buildings burning down. You hear of a lot of incidents that actually have data being lost. But what I'm thinking that will be the solution for us is that we create a system where we embrace digitalization, and we have all this digitalized, and get young Cameroonians like I and people that are also in this field to be able to come in and manage this. And once all this is digitalized, let me give you a typical example. Now, when we sit here, there's a business that most of Cameroonians don't even explore, which is the business, the shipping in the postal industry, right? Where in the Western world, it's already a norm that you order something from Amazon and it is delivered on your doorstep. But here, it's not the case. It's difficult for us to be able to have that business generated here in Cameroon because things are not yet been digitalized. Now, if a foreigner comes into this country, it's very difficult for that individual to know their whereabouts, especially here in the country. Look at Douala, for example. So I think that if we start embracing that by digitalizing everything that has already been written, because we have everything. When you go around the city, you see all the street names, but it's just that we need to have it somewhere in a database which will be able for people to access that and use that for generating other jobs.
That will be probably for the public sector,
yes,
for the bigger enterprises, be they private. But now, for the common man, for an individual, how can it actually help young Cameroonians at individual level? How can they go about it to be able to make something out of this that will keep them focused, that will give them hope?
So I think that for young Cameroonians, we have focused so much on the fact that we started for the government or for someone to hire us. But I really think that if we are able to understand that the information that you get during your process, your educational process, you can actually use that information to transform life by creating more opportunity. It will create a broader opportunity for us. Think about example. Now, you can actually live here in Douala and work for a US-based company located somewhere in Texas or anywhere around the world. This is what information technology has to offer us, that you are not limited within the national border to be able to get your employment.